President David Mabuza visited Aggeneys in the Northern Cape today. He flew over a large part of the Northern Cape and especially the Namaqualand region, looking at the devastating drought that has plagued this province for the last 6 years. Of course, in his meeting with organised agriculture, he promised that there will be immediate relief to farmers in the region of about 30 million rand. He said that they will, of course, as early as next week, will then make fodder available to farmers, of course, devastated by these by this drought. We spoke to farmers earlier today. One farmer had to reduce his stock sheep from around 700 to just about 70, just to make end meet so that he can afford to give fodder to his remaining animals. Of course, they also waiting and hoping that that relief will come through. But to talk to me about this a bit more, we've got from Agri Northern Cape, we've got Willem Symington. Willem, tell us, how bad is the drought in Northern Cape?
Ulrich, no, for sure, it's as bad as you can get. This is about the worst drought that we had for 100 years. And it's not climate change, this is just a normal dry cycle that we are used to in the Northern Cape. It's always been part of the weather cycle of the Northern Cape. But it is bad. People are losing their farming enterprises, they're losing their jobs, local communities are crashing in on themselves, and this is all because of the drought. What further concerns us a lot is, as you mentioned, we've got huge stock losses. It's a normal farming practice to reduce stock when you get less fodder on your field and less grazing, but this is getting problematic. It's get to the state where it's affecting the national breeding herd, and that's a national asset that we have to look after, so it's of big concern to us.
How many farmers, and if you can go into percentages if you don't have correct figures, are affected by this drought at the moment?
At least 70% of the province at this stage is disaster drought stricken. We've got an early warning committee report from the Department of Agriculture of the Northern Cape, and they are talking about between 15 and 16,000 farmers that is affected by this drought. What we must remember is the smaller the scale of the farming operation, the more vulnerable the farmer is. And I'm especially concerned about the emerging and the subsistence farmers that haven't got any access to foreign capital, and they are simply, the animals are going to die off and are dying off, in fact, at this stage. And from there's nowhere to go but to be captured by the network that's provided by the social welfare system.
The Deputy President did announce that they will give immediate relief in the form of fodder. Is that enough to tie farmers over?
Ulrich, I don't think it's more that he can do at this stage. He came, he visited the area, he flew over it, and he saw a large part of it. We had a very good meeting with him, with farmers from across the sector in the Northern Cape. He listened to their stories, and he agreed fully that it is a disaster and it is a crisis, and immediate help is needed. I do suspect that the 30 million that he promised that will be provided by next week for the buying of fodder, it's better than no money. So we are extremely grateful for that. 30 million rand can buy a lot of fodder. It's going to be a logistical nightmare to quickly get this fodder distributed throughout the province. But apart from that, it's going to make a difference. He also agreed that national and provincial government must collaborate and come up with more measures to provide aid for this area. We're looking forward to that as well.
So basically classification as a disaster area, what you're looking for?
Classification as a disaster area, so that certain aspects of the National Disaster Management Act can come into play. And at this stage, on the short term, money is needed to save animals, to buy fodder, to save animals and to save farming enterprises, so that farmers, farm workers and local economies can survive through this drought.
We're talking about, about 400, in excess of 400 million.
We're talking about this, and this is the figures that has been produced by senior researchers from the Department of Agriculture of the Northern Cape. They say at this stage at least 450 million is needed for a 3-month period, and if we haven't received rain after the 3 months, it's going to escalate to more than 600 million. And if we still don't receive rain, it might even escalate further, the amount of money needed. You see, the thing is with a disaster drought, it's not so easy to mitigate the effects of that in terms of time and a specific budget, because when the funding has ended and the money has been spent, it doesn't necessarily mean that the disaster, the effects of the disaster had been dealt with. Farmers will still need money to buy fodder at the end of this period of money received from government.
Thank you very much. That's Willem Symington, excuse me. He's of course attached to Agri Northern Cape. Of course, also saying that even if the rain breaks the drought now, there's still a lot of a long recovery period that farmers in this area will have to go through. Of course, also calling for a declaration of a disaster area for large parts of the Northern Cape, so that money can come into this area and farmers can then breathe a sigh of relief again.